Hey, beautiful people, let's make a tiered dress for a baby. To sew this tear dress, you are going to be needing a pattern, and you can get this on my Etsy shop or on my Patreon. At least a yard of cotton fabric, matching thread, a tape measure, fabric scissors, and of course you need a sewing machine. I'm using the Singer 4423. So if you like this, you can use my code QUAINT10 to get a 10% discount on the singer.com website. When you're printing this pattern, make sure that you are printing it at its actual size. I make sure to add borders around each of the pages so that way you'll be able to trim along that border instead of guessing or having to draw your own line. So what you're going to do is to go ahead and you're going to trim off the left margin off of page number 1 and page number 2. Now once you're done with that, you're going to overlap page number 1 with page number 2 and overlap page number 2 with page number 3, and you can either glue them together, tape them together, or top stitch them together. After which you will go ahead and cut out the size that you want for this pattern. And if you want to preserve all the sizes that are here, then you can trace this on some other paper or trace it on some fabric before cutting out the size that you want. So that way you have every single one of the sizes that are listed here. So the tear dress is pretty much made up of 3 panels of fabric and 2 straps. So this represents the top and this represents these 2 parts. However, we're going to be cutting them in different ways, and then this represents the 2 straps. You need 2 pieces for the top, 3 pieces for the panels, and 2 pieces for the straps. First thing that we're going to do is to prepare the straps. So you put your straps down with the wrong side facing up, fold it in half, press it down, and then you open it out like this and fold each side towards the center. Fold it together like this again and give it another press. So you're essentially creating the same shape and formation that you'd find on bias tape. So it's like this. And top stitch down the sides. These are the straps. This part represents the top of the dress. So the smart thing would be to add some notches to the fabric like this at the top and bottom. That will help us to know that this is the center front of the dress. You're going to measure 2.5 inches from the center and place each of the straps. To ensure the straps fit comfortably on your baby's shoulders, use this chart to determine how far to put them from the center. And it really helps if you check your baby each time that you are gonna stitch something new, just to make sure that it's in the right position. So once this is done, you're gonna just take this piece and put it on top here. And then you're gonna stitch along here. With my straps pointing this way and my allowance pointing here towards me, I'm gonna fold this down and top stitch here. This is what you call understitching. Fold it together like this, press it down, and top stitch the bottom to hold it in place. You're gonna take 2 of these, put them right sides together like this, and stitch here. If you want to create a French seam instead, you can put them right sides together first and stitch with a 1/8 allowance very close to the edge, and then put them right sides together and sew with a 1/4 inch allowance. And a good way to mark this is to put your needle position on the right when you're sewing the first part, and then put your needle position in the middle when you are sewing this second part. Give this a press to make it flat. Fold one end by a 1/4 inch twice and press it flat. And sew it down. To create gathers in this panel, I'm going to be stitching 2 parallel lines here. I'll just put the edge of my presser foot on the edge of my fabric, and then I'm going to switch the needle position to the right. Then I'm going to start stitching. I'm going to start from this end of the fabric again with the edge of my presser foot also on the edge of my fabric, and I'm going to put the needle position to the left. And now I'm going to take the 2 bottom threads and pull on them to create gathers. Sewing 2 parallel lines instead of just one creates a more stable foundation for the gathers, because if one of the threads pop, you'll still have the other one, but if there is just one line of stitches, it just won't feel as sturdy. Stitch the same parallel lines on the other panel and gather it too. You want to gather this so much so that it will fit on this piece, and do the same thing for this piece. So if this is 18 inches wide, you're going to gather this to 18 inches. And if this is 30 inches wide, you're going to gather this piece to be 30 inches wide, because we're going to stitch everything together. So you're going to take this, put it on top of this, right sides together, stitch along, and then you're going to take all of this that's going to become one piece, and you're going to put this on top of this piece and stitch it down. So that you end up with this. And if you have an overlocker, you can finish the raw edges with it. This flower is included in the pattern, and I used my Cricut Maker 3 to cut it. This is leatherette fabric, by the way. I'm using a maker, and I know for sure that this setting is not available on the Joy Extra. You're gonna do a basic cut, and you will select faux leather for your material. This is double-sided tape. I'm using this to fasten the applique to the dress. You're gonna take your flower and put it right here in the center of the dress. And I'm just going to put this yellow piece in the center. Then I'm going to stitch around this yellow piece, then stitch around the white piece. You want to put your sewing machine on the lowest stitch length, or at least stitch length 2. I have mine on stitch length 2, and I am pretty much just going to walk my needle around the edges of this flower. I also have my needle positioned in the middle. Every time that you come to the end of one petal and the beginning of another, you're gonna have to pivot your fabric. And when you get to the curve of the petal, you're gonna have to pivot your fabric as well. So you just wanna make sure that when you are stitching around, the direction that you are going in is going to follow the curvature of the petal. So it requires a lot of manipulation here, and you're gonna have to raise your presser foot so that you can adjust the direction that your sewing machine is going in at each point. And you're gonna have to use your hand wheel to go up and down, and make sure that when you're doing this, you bring your hand wheel towards you and not away from you. To make this as secure as possible, I like to pull the threads through from the front to the back, and then I'll tie a knot 3 times. The next step is to put these 2 pieces right sides together and stitch all the way down. If you have an overlocker, go ahead and finish your raw edge. To make this neater, you're gonna go ahead and bring your seam allowance to one side, and you're gonna top stitch. Fit the dress on your baby and make a mark on the straps to represent where they will be stitched to the back of the dress. So you're going to take the straps and you're going to use the mark that you made on them earlier to bring it to the same spot in the back of the dress. Pin it down and stitch. You're going to take the tape measure and measure around the top of your baby where the dress will sit. I got a measurement of 17 inches. When that's divided in half, I get 8.5. So that would be around here. And what I'm gonna do is to just put one pin here and one pin here. So from here to here is 8.5. So you're gonna take another piece of elastic and you're gonna measure about 2 inches less than the measurement that you have from here to here. And you're gonna add this to the back of the dress from here all the way to here. If you watched all the way to the end, I want you to leave a dress emoji in the comments. This is so absolutely cute. You can let your baby wear this with a shirt underneath, or your baby could wear it alone. It's so nice. I love it. I love it. I love your new dress, Mamacita. This is how the back looks. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.